Good morning, everybody. Baby Friday. My goodness, it feels like it should be Friday. Hell, it feels like it should be Sunday. What a week, man. We've been going hard on this trial, well, since it began, April 3rd. And whew, is anybody tired of hearing blah, blah, blah and yada, yada, yada yet? I know I could do without it. Good morning, Sandra. Christina. Sarah Adams made it back in. I unblocked 5 people this morning. If you get blocked from this chat, 9.9 times out of 10, it's an accident. Send me an email and I'll get you unblocked. I don't look at that stuff. I'm horrible. Okay? I don't. I very rarely look at any of that stuff. I know who is going to be blocked, and that's it. Send me an email because we can't have that. I had a mod one time, and every time she came in and she would brag on herself, she's not here anymore. She acted like she was playing Battlestar Galactica in here. Block, block, block. And I'd be like, why'd you block all those people? She'd go, because they were being dumb. Well, she's a dumbass and she's gone. Sarah said, that's why you have moderators, right? Well, mistakes happen, and I don't always slow down the chat. And so you go to I don't know what goes on. One time Pat blocked a bunch of people because she had the phone in her pocket. So if you get blocked, get a hold of me because I don't get down like that. Even old Chastity yesterday that accused me of body shaming Leticia is not blocked. I control a troll. We're all good here. All right, I woke up to a ton of messages this morning because we had some tornadoes overnight last night. Yes, being the born and bred Okie that I am, I did sleep through it. I am used to it. I think this is the one. This is the picture that I woke up to this morning anyway. So the damage was done south of Oklahoma City. Court K, exactly. Cherry Piss isn't even blocked. And that was after I got a lecture from her that day about how she's got a degree in TV VCR repair or whatever that was. And Cherry Piss is a member. God damn. All right, so I got a bunch of messages, and yes, I'm fine. I am fine. Me and OJ slept through every bit of it. Now, I did have to get out this morning, and there's debris everywhere, and they're still getting people out because the debris that flew around is on top of a lot of tornado shelters. So anyway, but no, don't worry about me. Where Summer said, if I haven't gotten blocked yet, y'all good. See, this is what I need right here. This is the help we need. I'm going to keep this comment up. The fact that Where Summer is still in this chat and blocked from almost all the others tells you something. Barb, too. No offense, Barb, I love you to death. Just me. Yes, it is heading your way. That's why we had the show the other day for Oakley Snow. I said, someone please keep an eye on Where Summer. Keep her happy. Feed her snacks. She'll be fine. And she is. See, right there. There's your proof right there on the screen. Wendy said, I'm an Okie too. Glad you're safe. We are central, just had wins. What were your wins, Wendy? Ha! No pun intended. Barb, yes, Barb, you are harmless. I get you, Barb, and you get me. I get Where Summer, and she gets me. People that are going to freaking storm out over shit over people they don't even know don't last too long around here, but that's all right. They always wind up coming back. We don't bite. Mermaid said, I'll stick with earthquakes. I don't want the earth swallowing me up. I'd rather it scoop me up. That's how I roll. All right, back to damn Leticia. Going to go ahead and say that for those that were offended yesterday that I was body shaming her, I was not body shaming her. I was murder shaming her. She's a freaking murderer. She admitted it. Leticia is the worst of women. She's the worst of all the women we know, all put together. She's calculating. She's manipulative. Sleeps with other women's husbands. Disgusting. That's a good word, Pebbles. She's disgusting. Yeah. She's a liar. She's a narcissist. She thinks she's smart, and she's not. She thinks she's funny, and she's not. She thinks she's just stunningly beautiful, and I mean, she's not an ugly woman by any means. It's just kind of hard to say she's a pretty woman knowing everything she's done. I just the adjective just keep going and going and going. The problem with this trial is it's not about how damn nasty she is. It's not about her guilt because right out of the chute, they gave it up. The defense said she did it, but they said she wasn't murdering Gannon. They said she was murdering the demons of her past. The hell? So what we're left with is that the state has to prove that she is sane. Not sane right now, but that at the time of Gannon's murder, she knew exactly what she was doing. I don't know that much about the people of Colorado Springs. I don't know if they're more give me a hug or punch me in the face. I don't know. Because it's up to those 12, not me. Extra exactly. Hogwash. See, in Louisiana, this wouldn't be going on. No, I'm just kidding. There's insanity defenses all the time. I really wouldn't be concerned except for the fact that it just takes one, and the defense has a expert witness that has flopped a lot of juries. And I mean a lot. Me Too said, Brooks, imagine if she was tried in Oklahoma. Damn! Yeah. Oklahoma prides themselves on the death penalty. They like it's Oklahoma's a weird state if you've never been here. I mean, I love it. I'm born and bred here. It's a big part of my personality. Like we laugh at other people's tornadoes. I mean, people in Oklahoma are a different critter. Someone gets the death penalty and these juries have no problem with it. Jay Bear said, who has flopped juries? Dr. Dorothy Lewis. That is the expert that's going to be testifying that at the time of the murder, not leading up to, not the 8 gruesome days that she was toting Gannon around in a suitcase, but at that time, I'll put it on the screen. We'll look at it. This is the probable cause affidavit. I've only read it a million times. At that time, which would have been 2:14 p.m. and a little after, when Gannon was murdered, this expert, this doctor, she's an expert at being an expert in courtrooms. She is going to testify that at that time, forget about the 8 days with the suitcase, forget about the candle, forget about all that stuff. At that time, she had no sense of reality. She couldn't have stopped herself. Let's see what's going to happen. Chastity, that was in here yesterday, agrees with her. The murder of Gannon Staunch, as described in the probable cause affidavit. Now, this was over 3 years ago. They already knew what was up. Investigators believe that Gannon was murdered by Leticia in the afternoon hours after approximately 2:14 p.m., 14:14, January 27th, 2020, at his residence and more specifically in his bedroom. Physical evidence from the residence and inside Gannon's bedroom supports that a violent event occurred in his bedroom. It caused bloodshed, including blood spatter on the walls and enough blood loss to stain his mattress, soak through the carpet pad, stain the concrete below his bed. Based on the evidence recovered from the residence, Gannon's remains were eventually brought through the house into the garage, likely loaded into the back of the Tiguan. After cleaning the murder scene, Leticia utilized the Tiguan to transport and dump Gannon's remains on the evening of the 28th. Leticia likely disposed of his remains off of Highway 105. Indeed, the Metro Crime Laboratory determined that blood discovered in Gannon's bedroom, the garage, and blood on a piece of particle board located off of Highway 105 all matched Gannon's DNA profile. That is just one paragraph, well, one and a half, from the probable cause affidavit, and we know there's way, 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 way more. Way, way, way more. But they have it down to a gnat's ass. Don't worry about that particle board. Don't worry about Highway 105. Don't worry about the 8 days with the suitcase. Don't worry about the candle the day before. Don't worry about the Google searches. Don't worry about that. It's what happened at 2:14 p.m. Now, you already know my opinion. I don't need to hear this crusty doctor give me any lecture. You already know my opinion. But I'm here for it. I want to hear it. Barb, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Look at Barb go. Barb says daughter who was with her doesn't think insane. No, she doesn't. They're trying to sell us this DID. And you hear the district attorney asking pretty much everybody who knew Leticia before Gannon was murdered. If you got to know these people after the murder, you don't really know these people. Landon has made thousands of friends. Harley has followers now. People talk to Harley. You didn't know them before. We have the same issue with the Wells case. All these people are friends with Don and Candace. You didn't know them before Summer got gone. Same with this. So the people that knew Leticia before she murdered Gannon, admittedly so, she admits this now. I don't have to say allegedly or accused of. She murdered him. The people that knew her before, you hear the DA asking over and over, did she talk in a Spanish accent? Did she call herself Jasmine? Did she call herself Taylor? And they all say, no, 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 no. So now we're going to hear from the doctor that's testifying for the defense in a few weeks that's going to say, doesn't matter. 2:14 p.m., January 27th. That's what we're talking about. I don't know how it's going to go down. I really don't. I really don't. She's horrible. She is horrible. Diana gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Thank you, Diana. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. I heard I got a shout out on another channel yesterday. A lot of you reached out. I love it. Nothing wrong with that. We're not doing anything wrong here. Let's get to the comments, and we're going to start breaking down what's happened the last week. And, of course, a little bit of a recap of a recap. You know how I do. All right. And if I showcase your after show comments, send me an email and you'll find out why. Snazzy said, seriously sucks as the prosecution has to prove her sane. The defense really doesn't have to prove anything, as the burden isn't on them. That's the tricky part of not guilty by reason of insanity. Defense, they get one doctor to diagnose her and they sit back and they leave the burden on the prosecution. I agree. I agree. And I go back to the defense is not the defense. The DA's really pounding it in the jury's head over and over and over. Everybody they can find that knew her before the murder of Gannon. Did she talk in a Spanish accent? No. Did she call herself Jasmine? No. Did she call herself Taylor? No. Okay. Because that's what they have, that's what the defense is going to sell to the jury, or try to. We'll see what happens. Who knows? It only takes one. And that one's going to hang it up and they got to go through all this again. I just don't see all 12 people coming back unanimous going, Yeah, she needs to be institutionalized, but you never know. You never know. Fine Art on Fire said, I really believe Harley Hunt was already deep into Letitia's BS before Harley realized what was going on. At that point, she was already involved. So I kind of understand her position. She's not the one that did this. No, she's not. Letitia's the murderer. That's all there is to it. Leticia is the one that did this. He says, and I also understand Harley not wanting to talk to the police when she believed her mother. He says, I don't have much fault with Harley at this moment. Now, at the end of this show, that's going to be the last thing we talk about is Harley's testimony. Not what I think Harley was thinking at the time, not what I think her mother said to her, but what she said on the stand. Now then, I hope it didn't come across as costs. I made a post in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group this morning, and it wasn't meant like if you don't get along or if you don't agree with me, get, the highway in a turkey sandwich. Nothing like that. What I said was, when we get to the part about Harley and we're discussing Harley, if you can't have an adult conversation about her testimony, then no hard feelings. We'll catch you on the next show. It's okay. Just like last week, I warned everybody. I said, I'm going to show the autopsy. You're going to see pictures of Gannon. And I just give people a warning. If you don't think you can handle seeing this, then get out now. No hard feelings. Trying to be as fair as I can. Barb Murray, again, thank you for supporting the channel, said those phone calls will do her in. Hours of proof. Oh, I agree, Barb. I don't see how anybody could ignore those phone calls. Thank you, Nini. Thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting the channel. Diana Howery said, poor Gannon. Can you imagine Gannon's last visions of life? And it's his stepmonster savagely attacking him. That is sad beyond belief. Leticia is so full of rage. She is evil, cold, unemotional, and she knows right from wrong. I agree 100% with you, Diana. When I hear the candle video, Gannon, 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 all these crazy messages to Harley. Gannon pooped his pants. Gannon started a fire. Albert, 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 Albert. These people heard this crap all the time. She was in their brains all the time. Gannon, Gannon, Gannon. Like I said the other day, Leticia could have had a DUI and convinced Gannon he was the one that was driving. She was on his ass all the time. And I think she was probably pretty cool with him, to be quite honest, until things went sideways with her and Al. That's when things started coming down on Gannon. Rexy, thank you for the super sticker. Rexy said, glad you're okay. Girl, I would have just woke up with the roof on top of me. I would have slept right through it. We're not out of the woods yet with the tornadoes, that's for sure. So Diana's comment where she says Leticia is evil, cold, unemotional, and knows right from wrong. I 100% agree. 100% agree. I believe at the time she knew the difference. She drove around with him, went to Petco again. There was a time where she was driving around. They don't quite know where she was or what she was doing. According to her, she was meeting someone on Craigslist about a bicycle. We know that didn't happen. I think she knew right from wrong too. But that's what this case is all about. It's not about her killing Gannon because she did. It's because she did do it. But did she know right from wrong at 2:14 p.m., January 27th, 2020? I don't know. So we'll start with how the week ended, and that was the judge getting in her ass. If you look at the screen, this is what she had going on. She's sitting there acting like she's got carpal tunnel, tennis elbow, something like that. Look at her. Flipping off Al. flipping him off, getting that finger going. She's moving that wrist around, acting like she's trying to pop it. Oh, yeah, throwing that flipper finger around. You know what? It's just one more nail in her coffin. It's just more proof that she is not a good person at all. The conversation still goes, what made her kill Gannon? Well, I don't believe her defense attorney at all that said she wasn't killing Gannon, she was killing the demons of her past. BS. BS. And not to put more on Al, because I know he's gotten plenty, I think it goes to this. This is only 12 of her searches. There's a whole nother page that goes along with this. Find me a new husband book. I feel like I'm just a nanny, not a stepmom. Husband uses me to babysit his kids. His. Not their kids. His kids. Are there any free money to move away from bad situation? My husband never posts about me but does everything else. She really needed that social media validation. She really did. There's something about social media she got a real charge out of. I don't get it. I think we all know people like this, that they really have to have that gratification from what they post. It's not just a simple, God, it's going to be hot next week. They got to count the likes and see who agreed with them on that it's going to be hot next week. You know the people I'm talking about. My husband only cleans up for the army, not me. I'm just a glorified babysitter. This one is plain as day. Find a new husband. Sent my husband sexual messages and he ignores them. Make my husband want me more. I feel like my husband uses me to babysit his kid. Not kids, his kid. Then the topper. This one was really good. Find a guy without kids. We heard in one of the phone calls yesterday where Al confronted her and said, you only care about me. You don't even care about finding Gannon, or however he phrased it. Do you care about Gannon or just about me? Because she's like, why don't you meet with me? Why don't you meet with me? Why don't you provide a place for me and your daughter to stay? Why don't you provide a place for me and your daughter to stay? Then he goes into how he had been wanting to adopt Harley for 5 years. Now, I don't know if Harley's going to go back and look at everything from the trial. I don't know. I bet Harley didn't know that. My understanding is when Harley got done with her testimony, Al followed her out of the courtroom. Hopefully they can start talking again. Maybe, it's going to be tough, but they were a big part of each other's lives. Tarnia, thank you for the super sticker. It's all good until you mention jailhouse preservatives. Then it's on like Donkey Kong, and I'm not done with that yet. No way, Tarnia. No way. Hang on, I missed a comment. Snazzy said, but will they show her search history to the jury? It is more prejudicial than probative. I would think so because it's in the probable cause affidavit, which has been public record for 3 years. Now, if you have a juror that says, oh, yeah, I've got that probable cause affidavit memorized, they wouldn't be on the jury. But if it's on the probable cause affidavit, they've mentioned a lot of other things that are in the document, so I don't know. Tarnia brought up the prison preservatives, so I'm going to go ahead and get this out of my system now. Look at the difference. She wanted to be a Kardashian. She loved the jet set life. And now look what we're reduced to. She looks scary. If you blow that face up, it doesn't even look like her. Looks like a witch. And it's safe to say she's put on a few pounds. I'm not body shaming her. I'm murder shaming her. This is prison preservatives. This woman has learned to deal with constipation. She has learned to deal with it. She's been walking on concrete floors for 3 years now. She has. Baby Harley said she got commissary, so she's been eating ho-ho cakes. What I want to know is who's putting commissary on the ho-ho's books? Who the hell is giving her money? Her family cut her off. Is Harley putting money on her books? You know Al's not. Aunt Brenda has nothing to do with her. You know Dakota's ass isn't going to buy the ho-ho a cup of ramen. That's what I want to know. Who would put money on her books? Now, she gets a free orange every day to make her toilet hooch. Other than that, I don't know who. Where Summer said Quincy and Eduardo. Might as well. Might as well. Nothing wrong with that, right? Whew, man. Unless she's trading. She, or they're giving her stuff off the books to keep her calm. I don't know. Courtney said jail pen pals. You know what? I don't doubt that at all. She had a booming support group. There was the Tea Stout. I don't know if I showed it in the members live on Sunday or if I showed it during one of the breaks. But she had her own. She wasn't in it. She might have been in it. I don't know. A group of women, angry ass hating women. Let me tell you what. Hateful women that were supporting her. Big time. DT said Don Wells. Nope, Don Wells, his Cash App has been it's been cut off from what I understand. But I wouldn't doubt it. Nothing surprises me anymore. Annette said some have no sense. No, they don't. No, they don't. So, I'm going to go back to the opening arguments. I'm not playing the whole thing, but we discussed this the other day. And when the state starts off, they give key things to the jury that they want them to pay attention to. They brought up Dakota. They brought up Harley. They brought up the medical examiner. They brought up the storage room, the candle incident, which I'm not anywhere near done with that candle incident. No way. And if you listen, they're going to play just the audio of the candle. If you listen to the very beginning, you hear her talking to Lena. You just don't hear her say Lena's name.
Chairman, question you will have to answer as jurors in this case has to do with sanity, specifically the defendant's sanity. At the conclusion of the evidence, the court will give you jury instructions. One specific jury instruction will talk specifically about insanity. It will read that as to the question of sanity, the defendant was insane at the time of the commission of the acts if she was so diseased or defective in mind at the time of the commission of the acts as to be incapable of distinguishing right from wrong with respect to that act, or she suffered from a condition of mind caused by a mental disease or defect that prevented her from forming a culpable mental state. That is an essential element of a crime charge. A culpable mental state is like an intentionally or knowingly. Evidence in this case will show that she could distinguish between right and wrong, and that she was absolutely capable of forming the specific intent required for these charges. Those instructions will go on to give specific guidance on what qualifies as a mental disease or defect. It says care should not be taken to confuse mental disease or defect with moral obliquity, mental depravity, passion growing out of anger, revenge, or hatred, or other motives and kindred evil conditions. Because when an act is induced by any of these causes, the ones that I just listed, the person is accountable to the law, meaning that person can be found guilty for committing crimes charged. You should consider the evidence you will hear in this case in context with that instruction. This case is about two people. First is Gannon Jacob Stout, an 11-year-old little boy. Came into this world premature, weighing just 1 pound 6 ounces. He proved to be a fighter, overcame the difficulties associated with being born so small. He's survived by his mother, Landon Hyatt, his father, Al Stout, and his precocious little sister, Lena. On January 26, 2020, something bad happened inside the Stout family home. Gannon suffered some burns. You'll learn this from a video recording this defendant made that night, January 26th. You'll hear her as she manipulated Gannon, putting guilt on him for some mistake that a child made. And in that recording, you'll hear Gannon say in his own words, "I'm just worried about my burns."
Two, I just don't know what to do.
Okay, right there. They didn't give anybody any warning in the court, and they should have, because that voice scares the shit out of me. She goes, I just don't know what to do. And you hear Lena go, why? Now, I agree with Marisay and many of you. I don't believe for a minute that Gannon, on his way to his room, decided to light a candle just to spruce up the place. No, I think she planted that cigar in his backpack, that Swisher Sweets package. I think she lit the candle. I think she poured it on there. Here's a picture. I think she burnt the carpet because she was trying to cover up blood from whopping him with the particle board. I also think the morning of or the night before, this is just my opinion, I've got nothing to back this up, just her nastiness. I think she gave him too much Miralax on purpose so he would have an accident on the hike. Now, if you look at this, when the CSI lady from last Friday was testifying and she talked about the blankets, she described the blankets and they had char on them. These are the blankets. That's the candle. You see some wax. You can clearly see some blood under it. Why the hell would she take that picture? You know how disgusting that is? There's all 3 blankets. There's the candle. And of course, she made the video. You hear Lena, why? Why? And then she starts her BS. Gannon. Gannon didn't light that candle, but she keeps him so spun up. Hell, he'd admit to anything just to get her off his ass. Listen again, you hear Lena.
You'll learn this from a video recording this defendant made that night, January 26th. You'll hear her as she manipulated Gannon, putting guilt on him for some mistake that a child made. And in that recording, you'll hear Gannon say in his own words, "I'm just worried about my burns."
Two, I just don't know what to do.
That's Lena. And now she goes and she's after Gannon.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie, when the TMZ information.
Gannon, I promise this is the last time I'm going to ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose? Okay, we promise. You promise. Pinky promise. Okay.
Not on purpose. He didn't even light the candle. He might have knocked it off, but who cares? I think it's all 100% her. He could have just been running through the basement, as kids do, and she could have said, look, you knocked over the candle. Well, he's not going to argue with her. He knows better. He's back in his room, curled up in a ball. He's been burnt at this point, and he's bleeding.
Okay. All right. So listen. We're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it. Okay. So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa. We can sell Whatever, because we gotta get it fixed, so lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house. Okay? You got it? You got it?
I'm just worried about my
Okay, shh, listen, 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 listen. So tomorrow,
The other person in this case is that last voice you just heard, who said so tomorrow. This lady sitting right here, the defendant. January 26, 2020, and into January 27, 2020, she was the sole provider for Gannon.
All right, I'm going to cut that off right there. Extra, you're exactly right. I agree with you 100%. She chose the wording for that recording carefully. She did. And when he says, I'm worried about my burns, she ignores it totally because they've enhanced that audio. I had never heard that before, and I've heard this video many, 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 many times, but they've enhanced it because she goes, listen, 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 listen. So she cuts that off because he's going to continue to talk. She's certainly not going to record herself saying, shut up or don't say anything. Sadistic. She's horrible. And the whole thing about all of this is, did she know what she was doing that next day? Because this was the evening before. That next day at 2:14 p.m. Now remember, the next morning she tells Al she's keeping him home from school. He has an upset tummy. By this time, pretty much anybody who's in her phone knows he pooped his pants on the hike. Then she texts an employer, whoever that was, and says, my stepfather was run over by a car. Well, he was when you were like 17. You're not 17 now, even though you want to act like it. And she really thought by taking this video, taking a picture of this picture right here is staged. Those blankets they were not laying in the floor like that. That pillow was not laying in the floor like that. She took this thinking it was going to prove some kind of point. She truly thought it was going to prove some kind of point. And she posts these things. And this is when people, I would say the 29th, the 30th of January are starting to say, well, he just went to a friend's house and didn't come home. And she doesn't know who the friend is. She was the only one with him. The crime scene lab is at their house. Sounds to me like the stepmom did something. And she cared more about what social media said about her than what the detectives were working on. She's insane. So we get to this, and then I'm going to get back to the trial. And I'm not going to play all of this. This on the screen is Dr. Dorothy Lewis. Now on HBO, she has taken part in this project. It's called Crazy, Not Insane. But she's going to testify that Leticia, the day of his murder, did not know what she was doing. Even better, she could not have stopped herself. Now, this is, I don't understand this at all. You have months of Google searches about how she wants to get a better man. She's resentful towards Landon and Al. She's really dumping on Harley. I don't mean picking on Harley, calling Harley names, but she's really oversharing. They've got a weird relationship, hands down. She's sending her screenshots of her and Al's conversation. Harley's at Massage Envy trying to work something that never agrees with Leticia's palate. She's messaging her at work. Gannon pooped his pants. Gannon pooped his pants. Gannon started a fire. She also, a couple of days after Gannon supposedly ran away, messages Harley and says, I need to get an attorney right now, she says. She told Harley that. I need an attorney right now. Woo! That's a lot of unloading on your own kid. I don't care how old they are. You're 60 years old and your kid is 35, you're still going to look at them like they're a kid to you. Not her.
We did it.
There it is. Hello.
Hello. Hi, I'm Dorothy. Tell me your name.
I
What
am
is your-
Jeff. I am Jeff from Las Vegas, Dr. Lewis. It's just such a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, I'm glad to meet you from Las Vegas. It isn't open yet, right? No gambling, no nothing?
No, it's partially open, but yeah, it's probably going to be locked down again. So we're suffering bad here. We're suffering bad.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're looking at someone who has been sheltered now for 9 months.
7
God,
months.
it's so good to see another person.
I've been quarantined for 7 months here. Yeah, so it's crazy. So, oh,
It
not
is.
to use that word openly. Well, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about Crazy Not Insane, the new HBO documentary. I guess I want to start with: are people born dangerous? Are they born killers?
No. Simply no.
How
Yeah,
about-
I've been working in this field for several decades now, and they are not born dangerous or evil. I mean, my colleagues will say, Dorothy, what about evil? And I'll say, that's not a scientific term. It's not a medical term. It's a religious term. And it's not up to me to say one thing or another, but no one is born that way. Or else we are all born with the capacity to be violent. So there's nothing that distinguishes us from day one from the people who later become very violent.
But we've all had that impulse during our lives that we want to kill somebody, and we use it as an expression and all that. What is the factor that makes someone cross that extra line that actually does commit a murder?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can only tell you from my experience and our team's experience, and I learned it over years. It was not anything I knew to begin with. It's not taught in psychiatry training, what makes people violent, so that it's a discovery as you go along. But over the years, it looks as though you have to say just about everyone, because there's always an exception, but just about everyone who becomes extraordinarily violent repeatedly. We're not talking about one fight in a bar. We're talking about recurrent aggression. Just about every one of them has been raised from early on in a family where there's extraordinary violence and where he or she experiences incredible abuse. With the guys, the girls too. Sexual abuse is very, very common. And in the
Okay, I'm going to pause the doctor right there. Going to remind everybody I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to say right now, when the defense gave their opening arguments, what did they bring up? All of this abuse that she suffered at the hands of her mother's poor choices in men. So when she attacked, drugged, burnt, beat, stabbed, and shot Gannon, it wasn't Gannon. It was what happened to her as a child. Christina, thank you. Christina said, but if you remember Dakota's testimony, that's a bunch of BS. That's a bunch of BS. And it is. I can't get past the planning of this, the execution of this, and the 8 days that she said, I got to go get dog food. And she'd be gone for 3 hours. And what she was doing was moving Gannon's body yet again. Put him under a bridge in Florida.
course of this ongoing torture, the individual unconsciously sort of flips out, and it's as if someone else comes to, quote, take the pain. And I've had more than one alter when I'll say, well, what do you do for so and so? The alter will say, I took the pain. The other vulnerability that I think you need, because probably most abused people don't kill other people, but also there is a kind of brain abnormality. It can be biochemical, it can be a predisposition to a serious mental illness, to mania, to schizophrenia, to certainly paranoia, and or actual brain damage that coupled with this upbringing in an incredibly abusive home create very violent people.
And you've said you think you should classify homicide as a clinical condition?
Oh God, I've never thought of that. May I think about that?
Sure.
Give me your address and I'll think about it and talk about it. And
Okay.
I'd let you know, because it had never, ever occurred to me.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen over 22 serial killers. Is there a pattern, or are each unique? Other than them being a serial killer, do they have their own unique pattern in their history of why they kill?
Yeah, of course. But, when I think of Marie Moore, who's mentioned in the film, she was terribly abused by her father, and then and she also had some neurologic and some psychiatric disorders, but they can vary. And it's wonderful. Different families abuse differently, but by and large, the recipe for violence seems to be early, ongoing, intolerable abuse, and then some intrinsic vulnerability, like brain dysfunction or psychosis or something like that.
And you have interviewed over 100 murderers, death row inmates, some of America's most notorious serial killers, Ted Bundy. Have you had many sleepless nights? Do you bring your work home with you?
No.
How do you manage that?
Well, it's not conscious. Whatever I do is not really a conscious act. It's somehow you learn to cope. And but even when I worked at Bellevue, I remember a colleague of mine said, Dorothy, I see you go from a very serious interview to then maybe teaching a course or something. And how do you do it? And I'm not aware of that, but I think that I sort of intrinsically, I have the ability to shelve the very last thing that happened and move on. Later I may think about it, but it's not a choice, it's a habit.
And how do you approach courtrooms over the years, giving your testimony?
Expecting to be laughed at.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I know you weren't taken seriously early in your career, but you built that reputation and that.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing, really?
Nothing, really.
Why is that, do you think?
That one is a really tough question, but there seems to be something about horrific episodes, murder, grisly things that tickles the limbic system, that system deep down in our brain that has to do with appetites, with anger, with love, with eating, with feelings.
Well, they laughed at Pasteur, Dr. Lewis.
Yeah.
I think history is going to find you on the right side, so don't worry. You're going to be in good company.
Oh, well, it's been decades, and I haven't seen a change, but I'm so touched that Alex wanted to do this, because my colleagues don't believe what we've seen. And
the reason your colleagues don't believe what you've seen is because it's insane. It's insane. I don't know about the 12 jurors. I don't know how they look at things. The good news is they've heard all of this evidence before the defense gets their turn with the tetherball. And so it's going to be really hard to swallow this pill that all of this stuff she did, she was in her right mind. But at 2:14 p.m., when she brutalized Gannon, she wasn't. The argument is even she wouldn't have been able to stop herself. Sarah said she literally said genetics has nothing to do with anything. Do you think some people can honestly just be born a bad seed? Just be born evil? I've always been more of the nature versus nurture. But I mean, I think some people can just be born just evil AF. I don't know how many days she's going to be on the stand. I don't know how they're going to look at this. And oh yeah, she's getting paid. Don't think she's going to sit there. She's already been paid. She's got to deliver. She's already spent 2 or 3 weeks with Leticia. And now she's going to testify that she didn't know what she was doing. Because my face about fell off when the defense attorney said, it wasn't Gannon she killed. It was the demons. Well, you're telling me she took the demons on a hike? She gave the demons Miralax? She framed the demons for a candle spill? She hit the demons over the head with a piece of particle board and then burnt the carpet to cover up the blood? She carried demons around in a suitcase for 8 days? No, this was all about Al. This was all about Al and all about Landon. Snazzy said she got paid big time from an alternate defense fund from Colorado. Yes, she did. Woo, this is going to be something else. If I was those jurors, I'd be using the wrong bathroom on breaks on purpose just to get thrown off the jury when it got to that. We've already lost one juror. That would be the deal breaker for me, for sure. Man, that is insane. All right, so we know. Uh-oh. Didn't mean to do that. So we know that shortly after Gannon went missing, he was murdered, something was not right and Al wasn't buying it. When she rented a car, obviously his eyebrows went up like, what? What are you renting a car for? Why are you worried about lease miles now? When she washed the car before going to talk to detectives, that got attention. Particularly when he saw the video, and it appears in the video from the neighbor's ring cam, when she comes back, she doesn't have Gannon with her. That's really the only time that she told the truth. She told the truth a couple other times, is when she said Gannon did come back with her, and that's his shadow on the other side. She was telling the truth. She did bring Gannon back with her, because we know that she murdered him in his bedroom. So Al was working with the authorities, and how he did that, I will never know how he kept his cool. Now, he got in her ass a few times, but not anything you would expect from someone who at this point knows she did something to his son. And at this point knows that the detectives, and particularly the FBI, are sitting right beside him, telling him what to say to her because they believe she's up to her eyeballs in it too. This is where he makes an accusation, in a way.
You can go get Gannon. Okay, the problem is here, you said until we have trust. The problem is we're not there yet, okay? Because a few minutes ago, no, listen, I'm gonna tell you why right now, okay? No,
Want to hear it.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why, and then I'll let you talk. Okay, please listen. I'm gonna tell you why. Because, okay, I've taken the blame for everything that I'm responsible for in this situation, probably more than I should have, but I'll take the blame for all of it. Okay. Quincy Brown's got the boy. Okay. But the part that I still don't have trust about is when I brought up the fact that there was a puddle of blood in the house, you mentioned a head wound. You didn't even say a damn thing about that. Not a peep, Tisha. You blew right past it. So fill in the blanks for me.
No. What are you talking about? A head wound? I never said to you about any kind of head wound. Now, see, this is where you.
No, you did. You said in the bicycle incident, which you later told me was not true, but you.
I already told you I made that up because you would never believe anything I said.
Okay, so how did the puddle of blood get there? Because it wasn't there before we moved in. So, okay, tell me about the puddle of blood in the corner. No, you said the wall. You said there was something on the wall. Who cares what it was? You cleaned it. I don't know anything about that other than what you said.
We cleaned everything from when Gannon. Okay.
Yeah, and no, you didn't because we haven't talked about this. There was a puddle of blood the size of like one of those paper dinner platter plates. It's significant. And that was on the concrete, which means it had to be significantly bigger and more thicker, whatever. I can't hear you. Hello? I can't hear you.
You're talking about something.
So he's hitting her with facts, hard truths. He's saying, look, it was on the concrete. They can pull the carpet up. They can see it. It seeped through. It seeped through. She doesn't even remember what she's saying. Christina says 20 by 20 spot of blood. This isn't just some blood on the carpet. It seeped through. Not saying that it's every day to have blood on your carpet. Through the padding, through that tough exterior underneath the carpet before it's on the pad, all the way down to the foundation. My favorite is when she says, I keep lying to you because you don't believe me. Who the hell says that? I keep lying to you because you don't believe me. Only Leticia.
I'm talking about no, it was not already there. Okay, that blood was not already there. How did the blood get there? Okay, it was a significant amount of blood. How did it get there in the corner of Gannon's room under his bed, which you told me the beds were pushed together? So how did the blood get there?
Are you done yelling at me?
I'm not yelling. How did the blood get there?
You can tell all your little police people that are listening.
Did Quincy Brown bang Gannon's head up against the wall or something? Did he bust Gannon's head open? Did he hit him with a 2x4? What did Quincy do to Gannon? What did he do to Gannon that put blood on the floor?
Because I'm not stupid. I know you have police there. I know you have people there.
You can believe whatever you want, obviously, because I've had so many freaking stories that you believed that were true to tell me, and then you always back off of them. Okay, so you can believe whatever the hell you want to believe. All I believe is what I saw.
Yeah, because that's what you've done.
All I believe is what I saw: blood on the floor in my son's room, and my son is missing. Okay, that's the two things I know. Gannon was hurt in my house.
I don't know. How many times do I have to say this to you? I don't know.
You don't know how he got hurt, okay?
You asked me 15 times the same exact question, and I'm giving you the same exact answer. I don't know. Then you try to turn it, and you try to ask me another way, and then you try to turn it around, and you try to say something nice and sweet like you really care, and then you come back and ask me the same question again.
Like you really care. You come back and ask me like you really care. Wouldn't a normal person say, what do you mean there's blood on the concrete? But instead, she goes full-blown banshee. Ah! I didn't say that, Albert! And he's like, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Then she goes with the perfect answer. And it seems to flow naturally with a few people. I don't know how it got there. I don't know. How would you not know? You were the only one home. adult-wise, how would you not know in his bedroom how a big blob of blood was in the floor? He hasn't even said anything about the mattress, outlet covers, garage, or anything. He may not know.
And I've given you the same answer. If you're so concerned about
But you had no stop because you haven't given me the same answer. It's been a different story every time.
you sure aren't your ass to go find him to see what he did to Gannon. You are too busy worrying about something that you think you can solve.
I'm still waiting on the address. You were supposed to give me the address. You were supposed to give me the address from your lawyer's people.
Me.
Yes, because you said they had it.
You had FBI.
Now you're changing your story. You're changing your story. You called the police, not me. I wasn't there. I'll take the blame for not being there, for not protecting you. You called the police. Why did you call the police?
I am.
You call, actually, no, stop right there. You called the police and told him he ran away. Not that Quincy Brown took him. What the fuck, Tisha? Answer that for me. You know, without a shadow of a doubt, Quincy Brown, and I believe you, Quincy Brown has my son. This motherfucker from somewhere up north of here, okay? But you called the police and said he ran away. Don't tell me you were freaking out. Okay, no. Don't give me some bullshit. Don't give me some bullshit story, Tisha. Tell me the goddamn truth right now.
Answer. If you're not going to listen to my answer, then why are you talking?
I'm listening.
He's sitting there telling her, I believe Quincy Brown has my son. And like the brat she is, you're not going to listen to my answer. Then you're just going to ask me the same thing. Yeah, you're going to continue to get asked about Gannon. She thought she had a resentment against Gannon before. That's all she's heard about for the last 3+ years is Gannon, and reminded of the events leading up to and after January 27th. So while she's renting some serious space in Al's head and Landon's head and Lena's head, well, she gets constantly reminded of what she did. Elaine said, Al is losing it. I don't know how he did it. Hey, Crime Curious, were you in the courtroom anytime this week? I haven't been over on your channel lately. I apologize. As soon as the trial's over, at the end of the day, I'm done with Leticia's ass.
This is it. This is the line in the sand. Quincy Brown got my son, and you told the police he ran away and there's blood in his room.
Guilty. Why would I call the police?
I said Quincy Brown was guilty. I didn't say you. I said Quincy Brown. Why are you talking about yourself? Why did you say if you were guilty? You told me you weren't the whole time. Why did you say if you were guilty? You said Quincy Brown, and I said Quincy Brown. You keep bringing it back to you, not me. No, I said there's blood in the room. Quincy Brown took him. You called the police and said he ran away. Explain all those things to me right now.
I like how she's trying to act busy, like she's going through her notes. She's going through what's going on. You know, God knows they can't trust her with an ink pen. She's probably got a dull crayon sitting there. God, even her could do damage with that. He's telling her, I believe you about Quincy Brown. I want to know why you told people she ran away. We got Crime Curious backstage. Hello, Crime Curious.
Good morning, lovely.
Good morning. Speaking of lovely, did you see any of the trial this week in person?
Not in person. I've been traveling this week. I just got to my destination last night.
Woohoo.
And so I'm going to do my live stream tonight with the attorney, and then I'm headed back out tomorrow morning. So I'll miss court tomorrow morning, but I'll be back in the courtroom on Monday.
Awesome. Now, you were there last week, though, right?
Yeah.
What does Leticia look like in real life? Because, you know, this WebEx is not very clear.
Yeah, the only, excuse me, sorry, smokers in the morning, right?
You're
The only thing that you really can't see I mean, she certainly looks like the picture on the right. But, I'm looking at the back of her head, and there are just I mean, it is a nest back there. So it's basically parted all the way down the middle so that she can pull all that hair up front. And
Mhm.
in the back, it looks like, like it's been slept on and nothing's happened to it. So it looks like a bird's nest in the back of her head when I'm looking at it. So a lot of times what I'll do, sitting in the courtroom, I can see the jury and I can see their reactions. And that jury changed a lot last week. So week 1, they were just very stoic and focused and, all business, no emotion. And then last week, Monday morning, we had those autopsy photos that they showed on the internet. And then the very next day was Leticia's brother. And after those 2 pieces of testimony, then I started catching the members of the jury. There's a couple of them in particular who are constantly rolling their eyes now.
Oh,
And yeah, and it's usually, at the defense, the attorneys will say or do something that's just ridiculous, like, was it yesterday with kept asking about the cruise?
I
So
was
do you
just
know what
ready to say, do you know anything about contained cruises or what are these?
right,
And the guy only answered him 5 times. I don't know anything about cruises. I don't know anything
right.
about cruises. Finally, the judge is like, when he says he doesn't know anything about cruises, he doesn't know anything about cruises. Why was he asking the detective that was put in charge of investigating the car filtration systems about cruises?
Yeah, the only thing that I can think is because, her passport was in there and they were asking specifically about stamps on those passports and Harley and Leticia both had a passport stamp from December of 2017 where they went to Jamaica. Oh my God, that picture on the screen. It's too early for that.
That more what you saw in court.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And that's how okay, so just picture to me that's what the back of her head looks like. I'm waiting for that face to come out of the back of her head. It's
Does her hair
bad.
look extra oily? Because it looks pretty saturated from my vantage point.
Yeah, it is. It
Okay,
is. It's always oily. It's
man,
it's a mess.
that scalp is
But
really out of control.
yeah, so I think that, Leticia was talking about how she had been to all these places and the prosecution is trying to point out that those are just more of her lies. And the defense is like, well, she could have gone on a closed loop cruise. And so she could have gone to those places and not had her passport stamped. That's what I think it is. But, the defense is not unlike their defendant, where, they're going to focus in on things that don't actually matter just
Mhm.
for confusion and distraction.
Well, it certainly confused and distracted me, and I'm not even in the courtroom. But that whole cruise thing, I'm like, and also the
Right.
passports, unless they were trying to say they were, going to leave the country. I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't too. Like when Leticia pretended to be Harley and called the sheriff's office trying
Mhm.
to get her passport back, it really makes me wonder if that was her intention is to grab her daughter and leave the country. But at the same time, she's bitching at Al about not having food. So, how are they going to leave the country if she took all this money from him and then she's guilt tripping him because they don't have any money.
And she also got $2,600 from Harley.
Right.
I've often wondered, I'm sure they'll bring it up because they're going to put more of her searches out there. Did she look up countries like Brazil, Bolivia? There's a lot of non-extradition countries in South America. Doesn't matter
Right.
now because she's behind bars. Snazzy has a question for you. What are your thoughts on Dr. Lewis? I played a clip of her thoughts on mental health, and she believes that at 2:14 p.m. when the murder of Gannon began, she couldn't have stopped herself. She had no idea of reality or rationalization.
Yeah, so Dr. Lewis is a major proponent or advocate of people going to mental institutions rather than prisons. And that's really her goal on the stand. And I think that the jury, okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about too is, you know, those phone calls are excruciating, right?
Mhm.
But it's different being in the courtroom. That system in the courtroom is good and it is loud.
Oh God.
And you can't adjust the volume, you know. So like yesterday, because I was in airports and stuff, I was listening online. So I could turn the volume down, or I could go have a cigarette, or I could pop an Advil, or, you know, whatever. But when you're in that jury box, you're really stuck in a box. And you can't get away from the volume, you can't get away from the pain of it all. And the way you see like everybody's body language yesterday, imagine the jury. You know, the jury is just like, get me out of here. And so I think that the jury, by the time it comes around to Dr. Lewis, I think the jury is going to be more worried about their own mental health than Leticia Stauch's mental health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those phone calls are enough to make you crazy, especially in the courtroom, because I've experienced them both in the courtroom and on the internet, and I prefer the internet.
Oh, I could imagine. Goodness. And the courtroom doesn't look very big to me, so I imagine it's pretty
Yeah,
pretty intense in there.
it is. It
Now,
definitely
and it's
is.
not a death penalty case, so this woman is really she's not saving her life, this Dr. Lewis.
No.
She wouldn't be doing that, but she's a big proponent of if you've got any sort of nervous tick, she wants you in an institution instead of in jail. The problem is, in an institution, she very well could be released someday.
She
I know.
could. She has the ability from the mental institution. She will have the ability once a year, every year, to petition the board for release.
Mm-mm-mm. That is very scary when you think about it. It is
Well,
very
yeah.
scary.
And I was wondering too, so I keep waiting for some sort of outburst from Leticia. And honestly, so there have been times when I've been sitting in the back of that courtroom and I'm just waiting for her to, like, you know, get on all fours and skitter up the walls and across the ceiling for another escape attempt. And there have been times where I'm expecting these outbursts, but she's not doing it. And I have to wonder, so Dr. Lewis is going to say that Leticia was insane at the time Gannon was murdered,
Mhm.
right? So if she's already trying to play that she's now no longer insane, which is why we haven't seen any outbursts, you know, I mean, we've seen some ridiculous behavior, but nothing, you know, nothing that would put you in a mental institution, right?
Right.
And so I'm wondering if she's not already, you know, 3 years after the murder, trying to say, no, I'm already cured, but I was insane at the time. So then it's even quicker to her trying to petition for release. Because we know back before she was even arrested, she was talking about showing that stupid polygraph to the jury and then being able to strike it, even though you can't make the jury unhear it. I mean, she thinks a long way in advance.
A long way in advance. Jeannie, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for supporting the channel. Jeannie said she isn't crazy. She knew right from wrong. She understands everything Al is saying to her in those recordings, but she's avoiding his answers. And she's also, I'm going to add to that, she's avoiding answering him because we know she can't. Now, my understanding, unless the article I read was wrong, and it's happened to me before, this isn't about the candle incident when the defense gets the ball. It's not about the 8 days of her with the suitcase. It's about the murder itself, because she's not on trial for lying to Al.
Right.
She's not, well, she's on trial for her sanity. Nobody is it's not about disposing of Gannon. See, because I keep thinking at some point, which, well, I'm going to leave that alone. That's going to confuse everything. It's not about the candle situation. It's about, as far as the defense is concerned, when Dr. Lewis testifies, it is about when they pulled in that driveway and you see that shadow moving along, which is Gannon going into the house, going into his bedroom, walking into his death, because she cornered him in that bedroom and she brutalized him. So that they're saying at that point is when she didn't know right from wrong. That point is when she didn't understand what was going on. Are you
Right.
kidding me? She told Harley to get stuff to clean it up. She said it's from the fire. She found out a way to clean up the fire marks.
Yeah, I'm starting to look at all of her behavior as some sort of sick and twisted business plan because, look at those phone calls from yesterday where she's talking about Jose Baez and Nancy Grace, and then Albert's like, Maury Povich has entered the chat. And that was hilarious, by the way. He's like, yeah, Nancy Grace. Okay. Yeah. Because it feels like she wanted to be a public figure. And in that way, she literally sacrificed Gannon so that she could find some sort of fame. This is her last shot at being this public figure.
Mhm.
And I feel like at some point when she made that decision to kill him, which I do believe a decision was made and then it was acted upon. I feel, and remember how yesterday she was talking about, like putting up a monument, or she didn't say starting a nonprofit to help families with missing children, but that's what she implied, in my opinion. Yeah, Gannon, Gannon is gone. But listen, here's what we could do. We could help other people find missing children. We could put up a monument. We could get in touch with Nancy Grace and blah 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 blah. And so then she wanted to use this traumatic event that happened that she caused, but she left that part out. She wanted to use this traumatic event to then become this public figure, who helps others, just in the same way that she became a stepmom. She became a stepmom by I'm sorry, by screwing Landon over and then stepping on her neck. And then she wanted to become, yeah.
In those conversations when she's talking to Al, she is so mad, she is so offended that they were on the news together. There's Al
Right.
going, this is Landon's, like, Leticia, you could have been on the news too, but you didn't want to be. Well, we know why she didn't want to be. She had to have her back to the camera. And he said that, Landon's looking for her little boy. Oh, I hope you enjoy your life with her. And that's what she's saying, because they were on the news together. She said, we're going to go back home, as if they could. And we're going to be a family, and we're going to be on every news station telling everybody we want Gannon back. And we're going to put flyers everywhere as a family, and we're going to have them shut down the borders. And I'm like, oh, you're mad that
Right.
you're left out of the good, the heartwarming part, people reaching out. Snazzy says, I fear her ever being released. She is obsessed. And I feel she would stalk Al and Harley if released. I do too. I think she's done with Landon. I think she's grinded those gears. I don't think she would ever touch Lena. But I think if she ever got out, she'd go straight for Al, and damn sure would Harley.
Yeah, no, I think she still got it out for Landon too, because, Leticia wrote this script, and things were supposed to happen the way that she wanted them to happen. And she wanted to be next to Albert in those interviews. And she wanted to be the distraught parent looking for the child, but it didn't work out that way because he was on to her in less than 24 hours. As soon as he realized that her car wasn't parked where she said her car was parked, that's when the tables turned. And then she lost that role. So basically, she wrote the script, she's directing the movie, and all of a sudden, Landon, who's supposed to be the bad guy, right? Landon's supposed to be this horrible piece of crap. Now she has taken Leticia's role in a movie that Leticia, created and scripted and and that really upset her, because that's when everything turned.
And it really bit her in the ass 3+ years ago, because she took to social media airing out all the dirty laundry about Landon, why they have Gannon and Lena, the whole 9 yards. Al brings it up to her, and it's like, here's Landon now. She's got thousands of people befriending her, sending her. They're friends on Facebook. They've got support groups for Landon. She's the sweetheart of the rodeo. And what do we have from Leticia? A
Right.
pile of crap. Lone Wolf, thank you for the super sticker. Said at 2:14 p.m. she was sane. She was in her right frame of mind because
Mm-hmm.
there's 3 different weapons to kill Gannon. Also, you can't forget the premeditation. That's what I want to know. How is Dr. Lewis going to explain away the premeditation? She drove around with him all day. She kept him home that day, which she would have had to have kept him home anyway, because I have a feeling he was in a bad place between the injury that caused the bleeding and the burns. Plus, I think she'd already given him the hydrocodone.
Yeah, see, I think Dr. Lewis, every time that it comes to, like, if you were to try and point out the factors of the crime that make it seem like Leticia was sane, I think that Dr. Lewis is going to try and bring the focus back to Leticia, just the same way Leticia does, right? Because, Dorothy Lewis isn't there to break apart the crime. She's there to talk about Leticia's troubled, fractured mind. And so I think that she'll just keep going back to Leticia's mind and how she needs help.
Yeah, Leticia's mind, how she needs help. This is just, I mean, as you know, this is just a snippet of the Google searches. The other whole page of them, I can't get to fit right on the screen. It's too blurry. Find me a new husband book. I feel like I'm just a nanny, not a stepmom. Husband uses me to babysit his kids. You can't explain this away.
Mm-mm.
I mean, these are her searches. Gannon wasn't using her phone to find a new husband. Harley wasn't, Al's using her to babysit his kids. This was all Leticia. In the probable cause, they even break down how she searches. So when she was saying, "Can Nintendo find my Switch?" they knew it was her making that search because of the way she phrases things.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think that, okay, so, the prosecution has a doctor as well. That's Dr. Thomas Gray, and he's from Colorado Mental Health Institute at Pueblo.
Mm-hmm.
And people are waiting, for kind of this, like, boxing match sort of thing between the prosecution's doctor and the defense's doctor. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. I mean, the prosecution's doctor has already said in their report that she is, quote, most likely feigning the symptoms of dissociative identity disorder, right? So he's going to come on and he's going to testify to that. But I think even more powerful, I think the most powerful part of arguing against her being insane is these phone calls. And these phone calls are going to echo in their minds. These people are going to hear her voice and the way she is screeching at her husband who just wants to find his kid. And I think that these phone calls in that way carry even more weight than the prosecution's doctor.
Her talking.
Right.
Because you can't unring a bell. Even if the
Right.
defense tells them you can only, and the judge gives them instructions saying the sanity is only for January 27th. They're humans. You can't unring a bell.
Right. Right. Well, lovely. I just wanted to jump up and say good morning. I need some more coffee. According to my phone, it's 8:55, but according to my body, it's 6:55 because I switched time zones yesterday. So.
All right. Well, you enjoy your vacation, and we're open anytime. Anytime the link is up. If it's not, say put the link up. Come up anytime.
Heck yeah. I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Let's give a big round of applause for Crime Curious. She has done so much work on this case. She's got a great channel. I just love her to death. All right, now then. Fair warning. Fair warning. I made this announcement in the Facebook group. Oh, Grandma Bunny's got her own announcement. Thank you for the super sticker. Not one instant has she shown legal insanity, not during or after. Tell one DID moment we have seen. What a great comment. Well, Dr. Lewis is going to have to dig one up because she's paid to perform, if you know what I mean. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with experts making money. My gosh. But that's a great comment. Tell one DID moment. I think about the DA that keeps asking all these people that knew her before the murder. All these people that get dug up after these tragedies don't count. That knew her before. Did she talk in a Spanish accent? Well, no. Did she tell you to call her Jasmine? No. Did she use the name Taylor? No. Okay. They can't find one person to say she ever had, like Grandma Bunny said, a DID moment. Not one. Get to digging. Get to digging. What about all her airline friends? Her doctor buddies? Oh, I forgot they don't exist. And I love when the judge, not this week, the week before, was very poignant with both the state and the defense and said, we're talking about legal insanity. Don't be forcing a mistrial here by you guys confusing this jury. They're not psychiatrists, neither are these attorneys, and neither is that judge. But I have a feeling that the judge has seen this a few times. All right, now we're going to talk about Harley's testimony. I don't know what was going through Harley's mind, so I'm really not going to speak on that, but I'm going to talk about her testimony. Anybody that wants to grab the link, come up. If you feel any sort of way about Harley to where you don't feel that you can have a productive conversation about her, there is no hard feelings. I get it. Because in every case, there is someone that really gets people's blood pressure way up there. We see it quite often in the Summer Wells case. In the Harmony Montgomery case, people would go, man, they'd come right after me about Harmony's biological mother. We've seen it. We've seen it over and over. Most recently, Quentin Simon. People get really twisted about Billy Joe. How would she know Leilani was going to kill Quentin? I never said she would know. Said that Quentin wasn't supposed to be with his mother, period. So anyway, let's go through this. Now, she did sign what is called a proffer agreement, a proffer letter. So I'm just going to put a small clip up about what that is, just to give us a little bit of info. I'll say it that way. Some info about what it is.
A proffer letter before you cooperate with the government. I'm sure you've heard of a proffer letter or a queen for a day. So this is a letter that the U.S. attorney presents to the defense prior to any kind of a cooperation meeting. This is a standard form letter. It may be written a little bit differently in different districts, but essentially what it says is that your attorney has told us that you wish to meet with us for the purposes of cooperating. It doesn't mean they're going to accept your cooperation. It just says you wanted to meet and talk about maybe what you know. The most important thing about the letter is where it says that you must be completely truthful. If they feel at any point that you are not being truthful, they can end the meeting and they can use your statements against you. They will know everything about your case by the time you're having this meeting. They have cell phone records, they have text messages, they have emails, they have bank accounts, they have spoken with witnesses. They have way more than you think they do. And they, in fact, may even know more about the case than you do. So you have to be completely honest with them. They will ask you questions that they know the answers to just to make sure that you're being honest with them. So that is the number one most important thing. And the U.S. attorney will tell you that at the beginning of the meeting, even though your lawyers hopefully already hammered this into your head. You can't hold back. You have to be completely honest with them. The next thing it says in the letter is that your statements given during this meeting will not be used against you in your case in chief. Well, chances are if you're having a cooperation meeting with the feds, you're not going to trial, so there isn't going to be a case in chief. A case in chief is the government's case against you in trial. So they can't use your statements. If you say at some point, you know what, I'm not going to do this, I want to fight my case, they can use those statements against you at that point. They will tell you, though, that they can use your statement to pursue leads. So if you tell them, I buried the body over there, they can use it to pursue leads. They can go and dig up the body. Now, they can't use your statement against you at trial, but they can use the DNA that they find or match the weapon that they found with the injuries, things like that. They can pursue leads, and they may lead back to you for other crimes that you may have committed. chances are that's not going to happen. Most of the time, cooperation agreements go smoothly and everything is fine and it doesn't lead to new charges. So the only part of the proffer letter that everybody gets upset about is that no promises are made in the proffer letter. No promises are made during the meeting. No discussions of plea negotiations occur during the meeting. They will not guarantee, and it is in their sole discretion, the government's sole discretion, if they feel that you have provided substantial assistance in the prosecution of another, not against yourself, but against another, if it has to be information they don't already have. It's not that you're just confirming what they already know. It's new information, or you're really helping them put the puzzle pieces together that they couldn't figure out. That could be considered substantial assistance. So that's what the proffer letter says. It says you've discussed every part of the letter with your attorney, you sign it, your attorney signs it, the U.S. attorney signs it, and then the meeting begins. And you have this conversation that can last hours, depending on the number of questions and how well you are prepared to answer those questions. And there can be multiple meetings, and you can have the U.S. attorney write another letter for each meeting, or have them confirm that that letter will apply to any and all meetings. And then cooperation information is defined as any information that they've obtained during your cooperation. Now, a proffer letter only goes to the statements that you make. If your cooperation involves active cooperation, like wearing a wire or engaging in transactions with somebody who's under investigation, that is not cooperation information, because you're not telling them anything. You're doing things, you're acting. So the proffer letter is a very important part, because you want to be sure, it's called use immunity, that they can't use your statements against you in the prosecution of you in your case.
Okay, so that 4 minutes that this lady just put out there, that's the agreement that Harley signed. Now, we know because she said on the stand, not because I heard it on Facebook, she said she was avoiding the police. Some people said, well, her mother wouldn't take her down there and you have to have a parent present. Nope, you don't. In the Summerwells case, we had many people losing their minds, and they were like, I can't believe Hunter had to talk to the TBI without a parent present. Now, they're not going to go and pick up a 6-year-old and say, bring him down. Of course, they have to have the parents' cooperation. But if there was a will, there would have been a way with Harley, for sure. Harley believed her mom was set up, okay? I agree with Fine Art on Fire, and this is just my opinion, that she was deep, deep, deep in it before she started connecting dots. Now, I would think when she got the message from her mother that said, I need an attorney ASAP, she would have thought, well, what the hell's going on? When her mother yelled at her across the parking lot at Marshall's and said, don't tell them anything, that definitely is a red flag. That's a definite red flag. Now, she can't set up her own residence in Colorado. I don't know exactly how that works. So, of course, she's going to go to South Carolina with Brenda and Dakota and her mother. She says she didn't know that Gannon was in the back. That's what she said. I don't know. When she explained that her mother kept the air conditioner basically on the lowest setting, so it was cold in there all the time, then that's how she didn't smell him. And he may not have smelled. He might have still been frozen. I don't know. She kept the dogs calm with the CBD. However, the people around her, after her mother was arrested, did have the smarts to tell her, we're going to have to get you an attorney, because they did reach out to her and they did say, we might be charging you with accessory. So she had to make this agreement. So she did not get charged. She said on the stand, these are her words, not mine. She was asked, why did we not charge you? And she said, because you believed me. In this clip, this lady explains, they already know all the information. So if you show up and you give them some watered down version of it, or you tell them just enough to get out of the room, all bets are off. Oh, I got Amanda backstage. Hello, Amanda. What you doing?
Hi, I know I sound like the judge.
You know what? I was just thinking a second ago. I'm glad that judge cleared up his cold and now he gave it to you. Have you been smooching on the judge?
No, 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 no. Anywho, I'm kind of stuck in the middle with Harley because I feel bad for her, but at the same time, I feel like she knows a lot more than what she wants to admit.
Well, I think so too, because I think going forward in her life, nursing school into adulthood, I think it's going to be kind of hard to face people knowing that she testified she was eating cheeseburgers with her brother 8 feet behind her in a van in a suitcase. So she, as many things as she can get away with saying, I don't know, I don't remember, she's going to.
Yeah, and I feel she was around when her mom was making those convos.
She was sitting right
So,
there. Her mother even asked her for the phone charger.
so if she's sitting right there, what, not to offend blondes, is she trying to act like a dumb blonde?
Well, that's what
Think about it.
I wonder too, because, you know, she graduated high school early. She's no dummy. She's no dummy at all. She did not kill Gannon. She was in no way, shape, or form part of the premeditation, the planning, or anything. I really do agree with Fine Art on Fire that by the time everything got put into motion, she was neck deep in an accessory and didn't even know.
It
I mean,
just makes me wonder if she did know, though, and she's just trying to act like she don't.
well, they have a codependent relationship, and I have a very hard time believing that she didn't know. When she said that she didn't ask her mom anything, that's just not their normal relationship. Obviously, we went from the mom who's her best friend. They talk about everything, anything and everything. My mom never spanked me, to suddenly we do a 180. And as we're traveling to South Carolina, obviously Leticia's stressed to the nines. If Harley did question her on something, on one hand, she said she didn't question anything, but on the other hand, she said if she did ask a question, it would be looked at as disrespectful and she would get backhanded. Some people don't think that happened, but I don't know. I wasn't there. I do know that the state of Colorado was more than prepared to charge her. They were more than prepared.
So obviously they see something and know more than what we know because they wanted to charge her.
They were going to. And we look at different cases, and most recently we did the show yesterday about Monkey Vaughn, where they're gonna cut a little bit of a break on Sarah Wandra because they want the person that kidnapped and killed Monkey. We have the case in New Hampshire with Harmony Montgomery. They made a deal with Kayla Montgomery because they want Adam because he murdered Harmony. We have this case right here where she was along for the ride. She didn't turn her mother in. You know, there's a lot of things that are going on that she could be charged for, but they're going to let that go. She signed an agreement. They held it up in court. We just heard what a proffer agreement is because they want Leticia. They want Leticia for what she did. And at that time, they really needed Harley to put some things together for them. And I have a feeling she did.
I agree, but it's just the small details too that I don't know. I don't remember. Like when they went downstairs to the basement, she can't even remember if the light was on or not, but yet she saw Gannon's head. How are you seeing his head in the dark?
I didn't
think about
understand that either unless there was a night light. I didn't understand that, or he sleeps with the closet light on. I didn't get that either. I didn't understand that she didn't know that her father overdosed until last week because she never looked it up. I didn't get that. I didn't get her saying that she didn't believe until November of 2022 that her mother did it, but she has told other people that when the suitcase was recovered, she knew her mother did it. And I mean, these are private conversations she's had. So I don't understand all that.
And I mean, for her not even to question anything. Yeah, I understand. Maybe she got popped in the lip, but still, yet, most kids are rebellious and they're going to keep on and on about things. They're going to keep questioning things regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't understand. I mean, why wouldn't she question mom? Why do you keep turning on the air conditioner when it's cold outside? I mean, that don't make no sense to me.
Oh, it doesn't make sense to me either. The only thing that makes sense to me would be the age and not being able to compute and comprehend that your mother could be responsible for all of what you've been seeing the last few days. The house being seized, the car being seized. Snazzy, thank you for the super sticker, said if Harley knew, who can blame her for playing along with her mom? She didn't want to end up in a suitcase. Self-preservation kicked in. I've thought about that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that too. I mean, I understand the fear because we all go through trauma as kids. We don't know what each other's been through, and people react differently. But still, yeah, that part of you still questions stuff as a kid, regardless. And now she's free of all that, and she had the opportunity on the stand to open her mouth and say all she knew. And it's like she was still like protective mode for mom. I mean, I feel she should have opened up more for Gannon. It's more about Gannon. Everybody says it's about Gannon. Yes, it is. That's why if any little thing you remember or knew, don't say you don't remember it because of fear. And that's what I feel she did, in my opinion.
Well, and especially when I read more about what a proffer agreement is, they needed this testimony. They wanted this testimony. And you could tell he was coaxing her sometimes like, that's not gonna be enough. You know, you can't just say, I don't remember. And they would have to go back through. I mean, like the defense attorney said, no, we had this conversation. You and I sat together. You could tell being across from Leticia. And I'm sure it was very intimidating. She's on TV. She has all those people in the courtroom. She has Al, who she hasn't seen in years. I'm sure the whole situation was intimidating. They could barely get her in the courtroom. But she knew if she didn't, she could be in a world of hurt because they were prepared to charge her. They didn't want to charge her. They wanted her testimony. They would have charged her if she didn't give it. That's the difference. And that was explained in court. She also needed a place to live because she can't hang around Colorado. Al's not her dad. Al didn't get to adopt her. There's just so many things. Well, the only thing I don't understand is once they got to South Carolina, why did she continue hanging around her mother? She was clearly there for several of those phone calls because one of them, Leticia says she's talking to Harley about the phone charger. So she herself is hearing story number 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's what I don't get. Getting a ride to South Carolina is one thing. Keeping your mouth shut about things that you think your mom might have done, that's one thing. But you get there and you still are going along with it. I don't understand. Big T said force a habit. That could be it. I just hope she's getting a lot of help because she's got some serious mental illness in her family. Her dad died of an overdose. Her mother is what her mother is. I don't have a word for it. None, not one that can be said on YouTube. She ignored all of this stuff. And when they got to South Carolina, She still didn't walk away from the madness. She has a trauma bond with her mother because of the relationship they've had. And someone is going to have to help her navigate through this because her whole childhood was a lie. Tiffany said, what could Harley have done that Gannon would be alive now? I don't think anyone's suggesting that at all. Nobody was going to stop Leticia from doing what Leticia wanted to do at all. At all. No way. But everybody cooperated with the investigation to find Gannon, to bring Gannon home, except for one, and that is Harley. Now, Lena, 8 years old at the time, obviously, she wanted to, but her parents definitely wanted her to too, spoke to Federal Bureau agents, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, detectives with El Paso County, and she's going to be on the stand too. So that, we can't just say because she's 17, because we have an 8-year-old that hasn't stopped talking about her brother.
Nobody's saying that Harley is to blame for what happened to Gannon.
No,
We all know. We all know it's cousin It's fault. But there are things Harley could have done and been more open about that would have, helped this case in the long run a lot better.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine that the detectives were freaking pissed when they realized that they had left the state, and they knew what they were going to have to do. They knew they were going to have to go out there, of course, get the FBI, go track them down, extradite Leticia back, and we already know what a mess that was, when they could have stopped everything right there in Colorado. Summer Thunder said, cousin it. Let's look at a minute of her testimony. Some people didn't hear it. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
There was something being mentioned about the hospital workers and like the story of what happened.
Was she explaining that she was being treated unfairly and she actually ran away from the hospital?
I remember her saying she was treated unfairly.
Is that why you had to go pick her up at a Taco Bell instead of the hospital?
Yes.
Did she tell you that?
Which part?
Why you had to pick her up at the Taco Bell?
I don't remember.
Your mom is quite the talker. When she starts talking, she goes nonstop, right?
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Was that unusual to you? Have you seen her on numerous occasions basically talk nonstop?
Yes.
Did you ever, whether it's January 27th or January 28th or January 29th, clean up any blood at 6627 Mandan Drive?
No, I did not.
If you had, would you have been telling this jury that?
Yes.
Did you ever see any blood on Gannon's wall in his bedroom?
No, I did not.
Did you see any blood in the storage room on the floor?
No, I did not.
Did you see any blood in the basement area at all?
No, I did not.
Could you smell any cleaning down in the basement?
Our house always smelled clean.
Why is that?
My mom was like a neat freak, so she always wanted everything clean.
Leticia,
Right there, I don't understand.
Leticia was not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Leticia was not a neat freak. I've seen pictures of the house before they started going through it. Shit strung everywhere. Go ahead, Amanda.
I don't understand why they didn't ask her, did you go in those rooms? What did you see when you went in those rooms?
I don't know. It was a very awkward exchange. And I about fell out of my chair when he pulled out that proffer agreement. And I kind of thought everybody would be on the same page when they understood she's not there voluntarily. And instead, whoo, you wouldn't have believed my DMs. You wouldn't have believed the emails. And I was like, she's not there voluntarily. She made an agreement. She will not get charged if she shows up. It's a tit for tat. And she has to, it's crazy. It is what it is.
So it's like she's just there because they made her be there.
Well,
So,
I mean, she would have been subpoenaed regardless, and then they would have had to have probably treated her like a hostile witness because she wouldn't have answered. She could have just pled the fifth. But they were prepared to charge her for accessory, and it's a major charge they were getting ready to put on her. I don't believe any of this is a walk in the park. I don't believe any of this is easy for her. And imagine you get
mm-mm.
the van with your mom to go to South Carolina, and next thing you know, you got federal agents going, we can charge you with accessory. You didn't want to talk to
Yeah,
us in Colorado, and you had every opportunity to. Don't tell me because your
well,
mom wouldn't let you.
but what I'm talking about is in her mind.
Hmm.
She's just there because she is made to be. I'm wondering if in her mind, if it was her option, she wouldn't even be there.
Oh, I don't think she would be on that stand unless that agreement was made. No way. No way. I just don't think so. Because I mean, like I said, the people that were around her in South Carolina after Leticia got arrested, they knew they would have to get her an attorney, and they did. And they had to work something out. You know, she said on the stand, I mean, she was honest about it. She said,
And
I
that's
avoided
the
them.
part, that's the part that confuses me, because if you love somebody, you would do whatever. I mean, you would want to go on that stand and give justice for Gannon. Here's all these strangers like you and me wanting justice for him, and she was right near him and knew him. Why wouldn't you want to go up there without worrying about all that paperwork? You loved him. That was your brother.
Tiffany said, so was Dakota. Hell, I wouldn't want to go either. Well, Dakota didn't sign a proffer agreement. Dakota called the authorities and said, you guys, I think there's something up with that suitcase. No, I didn't open the suitcase because I'm not going to go through it in case it's my sister's dirty drawers. But you guys need to look at that suitcase. When the agent testified, I think it was on what's day, Thursday, Tuesday, that said when they finally pounced on Leticia in South Carolina, they were looking specifically for that suitcase. I agree with Summer Thunder. Harley doesn't want to ruin her own life down the line for something her mom did. And, you know, and I hope not. Me too. I wouldn't either. It's like in her mind, she could honestly be like, look, my mom did it. I'm a Google search away. You know, until I get married, I've got this name. I can't undo what she did. I don't know. I don't know what she's thinking. I don't know what she's thinking. I mean, it certainly could have been her time to shine. And you know, she wants to be internet famous. She is in her own right, but not in the way she wants. She could have been the hero in all of this. But you know what? Today's Thursday. I can't do anything about Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's sad. It really is. And I just hope she gets a lot of counseling because she's got a lot to sort through.
Yeah, because you could tell to a certain degree, she trained her to be like her
If you would
herself.
have known Gannon's body was in the back of that van, and you were talking to Agent Cohen back here, would you have told him that?
Yes.
You would have known that he was in that van when the FBI came out to South Carolina to talk to you about Gannon's body being found on March 17th, 2020. Would you have told him that?
Yes.
Do you know now that Gannon's body was in that van as you drove across the country?
Yes.
Was your mom pretty athletic?
Yes.
Was she capable of lifting heavy objects?
Yes.
Overruled.
Do you know how much Gannon weighed?
He was little, so he didn't weigh a lot.
Was your mom capable of carrying his body in a suitcase, picking it up and throwing over a bridge rail in Pensacola, Florida?
Yes.
Is that easy for you to say?
No.
You still love your mother? I'll strike that, Your Honor.
And that was hard to see. He should not have asked her that, but you can't unring a bell. And he said, I'll strike that. Do you still love your mother? You know she does. Of course she does. She can also be super pissed off, super confused, super mad. Why did you do this to me? You know? Hell, I had a Jetta. I had a job at Massage Envy. All you had to do was be nice to Al when he was home. Leticia ruined everyone's life.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a worse person. And nobody's off limits, even her own daughter. As if murdering Gannon wasn't bad enough, she tried to take Harley down with her. She had no problem sitting there with her nasty, greasy head as her attorney was trying to put some reasonable doubt out in the air that, hey, maybe Harley did have more to do with this. Maybe Harley was on that bridge. Maybe Harley did help put that suitcase over. She is disgusting. I'm telling you. I will say,
that's part of the reason I question that too, is the brother saw that the suitcase was too heavy for her to pick up and he offered to help. So how is Leticia going to pick up a suitcase and throw it by herself over a bridge?
I've wondered that myself. Stephanie said the people who found the suitcase said it didn't smell until he unzipped it. I don't remember him saying that. I thought he said as they walked up on it, it smelled, not when they unzipped it. I'd have to go back and listen to that again. So I don't know. That would be absolutely impossible for that suitcase to not smell underneath that bridge. It'd been there since probably February, since the beginning of February. She had him for 8 days. Air S said, no, he said there was a smell. I thought he said as they walked, they could see what it was. And as they walked up on it, there was an atrocious smell.
But that's the major thing that sticks out to me is how is she lift that suitcase by herself and throw it?
And that's a great question. And I've seen that. It's been in my comments. I've seen it in other people's comments. They're like, if the brother saw Leticia struggling with it, then how did Leticia? She did some serious struggling with it, that's for sure.
I've said before, I used to help care for my dad. And elderly people, their weight, it's like dead weight, and they're older. Imagine younger. And then he's unalived in his suitcase, and all that stuff and their particles and stuff in there besides just his body. I mean, think about it. How's she doing it by herself? She had to have someone help her.
Do you think it could be the pure adrenaline because she's finally done with it? Because that suitcase had to have been stressing old Leticia out. Do you think it was just pure adrenaline? This is it. I'm getting rid of this suitcase. Then she heads back to the hotel because Harley said the next day her mom was really sad. Like, wasn't her usual self. I thought that was really bizarre.
Maybe at that point she realized actually what she really did.
Yeah.
The evilness, the disgustingness. But still yet, I mean, even with the adrenaline and this and that, I still don't feel there's no way she lifted that by herself. No way.
Let's see what Mrs. O is saying. She's never been on panel before. Good morning, my friend.
Hello, Brooke. How are you doing?
Doing good. What are you making out of this insane, depraved, gruesome, traumatic case?
Look, I live in Florida, but I think in this case I moved to Colorado, and I think I'm gonna be living there for a couple of weeks,
Ah,
more weeks. um, Seriously, I'm consumed with this case. But I'm glad you guys are talking about Harley. Um, the testimony of Harley that broke my heart because during this whole I mean, since the beginning, I have considered Harley to be a victim of Leticia's manipulations and all of that. But I didn't understood the gravity of the abuse that Harley have lived under with Leticia, manipulation, lying, um, abuse, physically and emotionally. I mean, she says she will get backhanded. I mean, even at the age of 17, she's still afraid that her mom would backhanded her if she would speak out of turn, as she put it. This girl is, and her mom is her only, I mean, the closest person she has. Her dad is passed away. She's been lied about her dad or her life, and she just found out. She has her life is has been a whole life. She has been moved around from place to place, according to her mom. I
mhm.
mean, according to her. She's trauma bond to her mom. That poor child, when she showed up in court, she was shaking. It was, and she had never seen her mom. And this, I don't know, crazy hair person, like Grisha, as I call her, I thought that was the moment when she was gonna break.
Do
And
you
she
think,
was,
besides
yes,
all the people in the courtroom being on TV, the gravity of the situation, do you think she might have been in a little bit of shock seeing her mother in that condition? Because let's face it, she
absolutely.
looks like something out of a horror movie.
Absolutely. And also, I think that's when the trauma comes out too, because she has been living free for a few couple years, 3 years, free out of Letitia's claws. So now she understands what manipulation and lies and all what her life has been about.
Well, and I mean, if Letitia did it to everybody else, why would she not do it to Harley? She played
Like
everybody like a fiddle. Coworkers,
everybody.
her mother, her brother, Al, her first husband. I mean, she's one of those women with no friends. We all know these women.
Exactly. Look what she did to Landon too. I mean, she stole Al from Landon, and it's like this woman is, she has no bounds. It's just like, oh, and Harley, she's trauma bound to this woman, and trauma bonds are hard to break, especially between mom, and that's such a hard dynamic because you love this woman with everything. It's your mother. She was 17 when this happened. With Look, in 2 years, 3 years of therapy is not going to solve that. She's, unfortunately, like I said earlier in the chat, she was Letitia's victim. She is Letitia's victim, and she will continue to be Letitia's victim. She will have trouble. Hopefully, she will get awesome therapy, and she will do awesome in life. But could you imagine the abandonment issues, the trust issues that she will have, or hopefully get over that? But I just cannot imagine. all the lies that she has been told. Maybe what kind of things has Leticia made that book or cover for her?
You know, that I really don't know. And she doesn't get a 100% free pass from me because
Neither me, neither
Gannon
from me.
Gannon was missing, Gannon was murdered, and she would not cooperate even after the suitcase was found. This is all in the record. We
Yep.
all, but we have an 8-year-old little girl that had no issue talking to the FBI, CBI, El Paso detectives. And let's face it, Lena was right outside the door riding her bicycle. Talk about trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Leticia,
Yeah.
as Leticia's inside the house, finishing off killing Gannon. Becca,
Yes.
thank you for the super sticker. Becca said, I find it tragic. Harley said she just realized her mom did it only in November. That
Yep.
had such a hold on Harley. It's going to be very telling, and we're not going to, obviously, we can't compare. It's apples and oranges because they're two totally different people. It's going to be really telling when Lena gets on the stand.
Yeah, and that's gonna be kind of iffy with Lena because I don't know if they're gonna, because she's 11 now, so that is an iffy age to put the kids on the stands or not right now, or they will use a video testimony from um when this happened before, and she was 8, I think, when this happened, and at that age normally they don't. And it's weird at that age. Normally, they don't put kids on the stand. They will use like a video testimony of a therapy or like a play therapy or something like that. At 11, 12, yeah, they might put kids on the stand. But at 8, they take it a little more seriously because it could be traumatic. It can be traumatic for anybody. But kids, they take it more into consideration. But oh gosh. No, but I have a lot of questions for Miss Harley. She's
Oh, I got
still
a lot of questions, and I don't think any of them will be answered. And I really hope
no.
people on the damn internet would quit getting in her comments, quit sending her messages. If she needs money, she can ask Aunt Brenda or she can go work at the Whataburger. These people need to quit reaching out to her. That
Oh
is
my gosh, yes.
weird.
It's so weird. It's so weird. At the end of the day, she was 17 when this happened. She's just 20 right now. Put you guys just put you guys yourself in a 17-year-old shoes in your 17-year-old shoes and, and in this situation and see what you would how would you feel and how would you react and what you would do. It's like stop. Leave
Well,
the kid alone.
I'm scared of the police, okay? And authority is something I've always paid attention to. So if the police say to me, "We need to talk to you," I'm like, "Okay, what do you need?" I'm a dummy like that. This
Oh,
generation is
me
not like,
too.
and I mean, like I said, even after the suitcase was found in Florida, these are her words, not mine. She still avoided them. She
Yep.
still avoided them. And she, they're all going to have to put the pieces of their life back together because Leticia is an evil, depraved monster.
Brooke,
I don't want y'all
you know,
thinking, I don't
I'm
want
sorry.
y'all thinking I'm all whatever about Harley, because I do feel for her. And I've been that 17-year-old girl young and went through my own trauma as a kid. But my thing is this, is I have a lot of questions because of the suitcase incident and different other stuff. And I've always been the type I question stuff. And I've got to know the answer to it. And
Oh,
there's a lot of stuff.
nobody here is thinking you're beating up on Harley. I can't think of
No.
one person in this chat that doesn't have a lot of questions for Harley. I just said myself, she doesn't get a free pass from me. I said it. She doesn't get a free pass from me. You have your opinion. Mrs. O has hers. Uli has hers. Preschool Granny has hers. Slim said, I have questions. We all have questions for her. I mean, I'm the one that said she doesn't get a free pass for me because she's 17. You know,
And it's like sometimes people think, I mean, you gotta open up, you gotta go outside the box. A lot of people want to feel emotional, but you also got to go outside that and question why this, why that. And nobody's putting it on Harley that she did it. We're just trying to understand why she did this or said that, and why she's saying this to that. And there's a question to it. Why say your mom lifted that suitcase by herself, knowing her uncle saw her struggling with it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to look
on
at
that.
all
a million
angles.
questions. How do you know every suitcase that's in the back, but you happen to mention the biggest one that happened to have his body in it, but you saw all the other suitcases? The one that your mother has problems moving because it's so damn heavy. You didn't see that suitcase the whole time? There's no way. Christina said, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. And going back to the suitcase, let's go back to the pink suitcase. When they opened that pink suitcase, first of all, had blood stains. It was in the back of the car when Harley went into the recruiting office. Tell me that you didn't see that suitcase either. It had Harley's backpack inside that suitcase. When they opened that suitcase, the first thing you saw, what was it? The blanket with blood.
With blood.
Harley, tell me you didn't ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I just have questions. I am not harping on Harley. I feel for her. I just have simple questions. I just want to make that clear. I just have questions because I think there are holes in the story. I feel for the girl. She was 17. I think she's a victim in this whole thing, just like everybody else in Leticia's life. They are all victims. And I don't want to take that much of your time, but I will also want to say this. Leticia will hate London and Al so much that she will never tell them what happened, truly happened to Gannon, just to torture them. And she is right now sitting there not caring and laughing and all of that. That's part of her evilness. And in most of the cases that we see, there is an issue of mental health, of addiction, or whatever. Not in this case, she's she's not mentally ill. I'm sorry. She may have like some anxiety or something, but there is so much calculation, so much planning, so much quick thinking, so much. The girl has it together, and there is no addiction, no nothing. So this is pure evilness. Not
She's a
even the Kool-Aid that Lori drank. No, 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 no. This girl is evil.
She is a damn psychopath, is what she is. I couldn't imagine
Oh
going
my God.
cornering him in the room. I think she gave him too much Miralax. We know she gave him hydrocodone. She'd burn him. She'd drug. I mean, anything you can imagine. She is diabolical. Thank you, Ryan. That
She is diabolical, is the word. Thank you. Oh, this woman. Sorry, phone call. Oh, that woman. Anyways, I don't want to take any more of your time. Um, and thank you for letting me in on the panel.
Hey, anytime. Anytime. I'm glad you came up.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Oh, we lost her. Amanda's getting to be old hat. She's got her own couch up here. We just sit and chat. But no, I don't want you to think for a minute that you can't share your opinion or anything like that, because trust me, many of us feel the same way. There's a lot of questions, and I think some of them might be answered because if my reading comprehension is up to par, she's going to be called again by the defense sometime next month. And they're they're going to ask the harder questions because, well, they have to defend Cousin It.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, at the end of the day, we all have a right to our opinion, and we've all been Harleys, and we've all had traumatic things happen in our life. But we need to learn that we have a mouth, we have a voice. Well, mine's hardly not working right now, but we all have a voice, and we need to learn to speak up and not allow to people like Leticia to control our emotions and allow violence and all this nastiness in life to happen, to fight back and not allow the abuse no more from the psycho people in life.
And Leticia is a damn psycho. And I really hope, I'm getting too far ahead of myself, but I really hope when this Dr. Lewis, this goofball, gets on the stand, she doesn't convince that jury of what she's paid to convince them of. Could you
I
imagine
know.
she getting back out? That would be the worst ever. Not worse than what she did to Gannon, but it would be really, really bad. Well, Amanda, I appreciate you coming up, sharing your opinion with us. And, as always, we agree to disagree. I mean, like, I'll say stuff and people are like, I don't see it, Brooks. But, we're friends here.
Oh, I appreciate coming up. And I mean, I'm always going to voice how I feel regardless, but it's the respect part. And that's what I love about your channel is regardless if you agree or not, you respect each other and you still love each other at the end of the day.
At the end of the day. Exactly. After the show, we're off to talking about other things anyway. All right, my friend. Well, I will send you a message when I get done with all my running around and stuff that I have to do today.
All right. Well, you have a nice day and
You
love
take
y'all
care-
guys.
You take care of that sore throat and that frog in your throat, okay? These allergies are horrible.
Yeah, I'll stop messing around with the judge.
All right, bye, Amanda.
Bye-bye.
Amanda's been locking lips with the judge. Great conversation today, guys. Thank you so much for this, because we can have conversations where we don't all agree and still walk away and we're friends. There's not everything is, just black and white. There's an area in there where we can have these discussions and say, but that doesn't make any sense. But that's not what they said before. And it's okay. We can do it here. And I mean, if somebody storms off, well, that's on them. We didn't do anything to them. So you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you back here tomorrow. We actually have a members live tomorrow during the lunch break for the trial. So it's already posted. Trial watch is already posted. And I'll put another show together for like a week in review for tomorrow morning. So we have a lot to do tomorrow. But it might be confusing because you're going to see 2 shows for the trial tomorrow. One is up till lunch, then we're going to have a members live, and then after lunch, we'll get back to the trial. We'll figure it out as we go along like we always do. You guys are the best. Absolute best chat, best community on YouTube. I wouldn't just say it, and I will see you back here tomorrow.